A disturbing assault over the weekend should lead to improvements in protection for sports referees. First Alert 6 first reported about the arrest of a parent over the weekend.
Yeah, tonight, Mike McKnight gets reaction from a supervisor who obtained video of the alleged assault.
By rushing the court toward a referee, fans of an 8th grade boys basketball team went out of bounds.
This is a lot more disturbing than just pushing an official, punching an official. I did not realize how many other adults went towards the official.
Though it appears some tried to stop the confrontation, Sean Johnston, who supervises 1,000 officials for several sports in Nebraska, says what happened to just one basketball ref will change training for all with a whistle.
He's trying to get away. I know the site supervisor was not in this gym. They were in the building, but not in the gym. So whether his partner was trying to go get help or trying to prevent other things from happening, we just cannot leave each other alone. We have to stay together and go together as a team of officials.
Sarpy County Sheriff's deputies arrested 40-year-old Joshua Luttrell for misdemeanor assault on a referee. He's holding his face like this.
Yep.
So it's not so much physically, but you're saying mentally he's been affected by this.
He took a punch, and it's going to probably take some time for him to feel safe out there in the sporting world.
The referee, who asked not to be identified, had stopped the game as fans became unruly with several minutes left on the clock.
And that's why we stop basketball games, is to prevent this behavior.
It was in a private tournament at a Papillion public school on Saturday.
What he felt was right by enforcing the rules and trying to stop the unsporting behavior.
Factory Basketball, which sponsored the once-a-year tournament, says the parent accused of assaulting the ref is associated with an out-of-town team and not the Athlete Development Organization. Factory Basketball calls the incident heartbreaking and always offered a safe environment, but will continue to pour effort into change moving forward.
In every single one of our contracts, we put in there adequate security.
For the supervisor of referees, it means having another kind of official present for youth tournaments.
But after seeing this video, maybe the definition and interpretation of adequate security is having armed police officer and or a company for security on the game site.
In Sarpy County, Mike McKnight, First Alert 6.